Alright, in this video I'm going to be tying up Connecticut River shad fly and variation number 4 from C. Boyd Pfeiffer's book entitled Shad Fishing. This fly is slightly different than variations 1 through 3. It does not have a quill wing and it does not have a hackle. It does use some fibers from a feather to create a throat, which I thought was interesting. I think this fly has a lot of potential in my waters. I'll probably tie it up in this variation and maybe even throw a bee chain on it so it rides hook tip up. I think that'll fit my water a little bit better, but for this video I'm going to tie up the traditional recipe. In the vise I have a mustad size 4 34007 hook, and I'm going to be using Uni-Thread in a 6/0 and fire orange. Go ahead and lay down some thread, and we're just going to come back about an eye's length behind the eye. Snip our thread. Next we're going to tie in a couple pieces of gold tinsel. Just two. Let's fold that around your thread. And capture it on top of your hook. Then just extend your thread all the way to the back of the hook. And we're going to stop about the barb. That's about right. And then bring our thread back up to our starting point. Go ahead and hit our wraps and shank with some Sally Hansen's to protect our tinsel wraps. And then we're going to start to wrap our tinsel forward. And you want these to be touching wraps, so you get a nice gold body. Just take your time. And we're just going to capture that with our thread. Couple in back, couple in front, and then snip our excess tinsel. I'm going to go ahead and hit the shank one more time with Sally Hansen's just to make the fly more durable. Alright, so rather than tying a quill wing or a wrapped hackle, it actually just calls for fibers from the feather. So I'm going to take an orange neck hackle, and back here you have some long webbier bits. Not this stuff here, which is kind of the more like marabou. I'm going to peel that off. And really what we have here is some longer tips. And I'm just going to try to align a section of tips about that wide. And then just peel. I'm going to transfer them to my other hand. And you can see the tips are pretty well aligned. So what I want to do is tie this in as a throat. And to do that, well, first off, I don't want the fibers to go past the bend of the hook. So somewhere about the length of the bend of the hook. So I'm just going to do a pinch wrap and then come straight down and give one more wrap. And that's pretty close, pretty close. It's alright if it extends back a little bit. The original seems to kind of park the tips of the feather right about the bend of the hook. And that looks pretty close. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to advance my thread forward and then bring it back. And what I like to do to make sure that that throat will kind of stick up is lift the fibers up and then do a wrap kind of behind them to get them to stand. You want to just pull that all the way in underneath them, and you can see immediately it starts to stand up. I'll give a normal wrap over, lift the throat again, and now you've got a throat that kind of stands up slightly, and that's what we're looking for. Go ahead and advance my thread back up to the eye of the hook, do a couple wraps in front of that excess, and now I want to trim the excess. Be careful not to trim your throat. And then we'll just clean that up and build up a nice head. I think this fly looks really nice with the kind of hot spot type of head, so a fairly large head. Looks pretty good. And now we'll whip finish. Snip off our thread. And of course, hit our wraps with a little bit more Sally Hansen's just to protect those thread wraps. Alright, so that is the Connecticut River Shad Fly in variation number 4. Nice looking fly, like the throat. The orange and gold I think will be a good combination on my river. And like I said, I might even throw a bead chain or hourglass eye on it so it rides hook tip up, sort of like that. You can already tell just from the motion from the ceiling fan, there's a lot of life in those kind of webby throat fibers. So nice sparse fly. I think that could be a winner on the river this year.